future people, it's October 30th for the spookiest demos of the year.
Ooh.
It's 2023, by the way, in case you're like looking in the time machine. And let's start with Wendy.
Hey, so I'm demoing the changes to the secrets management. So in your workspace now, as you can see, in the change set details area, we have a secrets panel that has each of the different secret definitions that are defined. I defined 3 of them that have very silly names. You can select a definition and you can see what secrets are inside. This one has none. This one has some. This one has more. You can add a secret from this panel, give it a name, give it a description, give it all the other information that you need your secret to have. This is a very detailed secret with 4 different fields. You can store the secret and it will appear in this wonderful panel. It also orders these secret definitions by which one was most recently added to or updated. Finally, we have updating secrets now. You can click this little gear. Apparently it's not working right now. What's going on? There, bug. Or is this just a fluke? Oh no, it
Live
was
demos.
working. It was working on Monday.
I love that.
Or on Friday. Excuse me. Well, perhaps my demo will resume later once I figure out why this is not working.
Cool. I appreciate the new secrety overlords. Zack.
Okay, this will be relatively quick. Thought I'd demo some stuff related to what we've recently done on the everything is a node or an edge work. So the big thing that we did last week is attribute value update. So like one of the core pieces of the system besides dependent values is being able to set the value on an attribute value. And so we have like what I think is an implementation much easier to understand that was in the Postgres, which is cool. What we implemented Vivify, which walks up to make sure there are attribute values for the parents of this value wherever you're setting it. So if you're setting something deep in an object or a map or whatever, we set sort of the basic values up unless they're already set. Then we set the value and then we walk down. So if you set a complex object, we will walk down the graph and set all of the sort of sub-child objects, child properties of that object all the way down to the leaves. Yeah, we got it done. We have it implemented now. We haven't really tested it, but it looks pretty good. And we can also insert values into arrays or maps, which is all very exciting. The other exciting thing is that this is SDF. This is everything running on the Node and Edge version. Now we carved out commented out, maybe like 17,000 lines of code, but it is running, and you can boot up the front end, and you can see we don't have any schema variants right now, but we're getting there. And so part of our goal this week is to import some schema variants or functions and get them listing in SDF and sort of get a handle on how that works. And then now that we have it kind of working in a build version, we can iterate on testing, getting SDF routes working, figuring out like what parts of this API need to change to make the whole system work. And it'll get us much closer to having everything, and making this a reality. So that's the exciting update.
Fantastic. Seeing that data in Rust, it's going to be so much more maintainable. Right. And also shout out to auto vivification, my favorite Perl term. The auto vivification of deeply nested hashes and arrays. Okay. Let's go to
Can I finish
Wendy
my
again.
Sorry, I was on the wrong branch. I keep clicking the wrong button. There we go. So yes, as I was saying, you can indeed edit secrets. If you just want, you can edit the metadata of a secret. So la-di-da. And cool, right?
Oh, I like that stripey replace secret.
I also
but yes,
that came out
if you
great.
don't want to just edit the metadata, you can also replace a secret by clicking on this button here, and this field will become available, and you can put whatever information you want in there and update the secret.
Look at how sweet that little stripey thing is going to continue to trip me out.
It is available across the code base.
With stripes everywhere.
If we want to style any other area with that same effect,
Everything.
This too can be yours.
It's so cool.
That came out great, Wendy.
It really did. Fantastic. Let's go to John.
Why, hello, Monday people. Okay, so
Hello, John.
I created a very weak slide deck to support my explanation here, so bear with me. Okay, so Scott and I have been working on function execution. So this is currently my my lowdown view on the current execution. It might be like a little bit technically inaccurate, but most of the gist is there. Basically, the Veritech container pulls a message off NATS, it's got the function execution in it, and it currently spins up a cyclone thread and executes the function in and then passes the information back. And it sits within the core of SI. And there's like basically you've got enough space for n number of threads based on your machine capacity and other networking constraints and things. So Scott and I have been working on kind of like pulling this out into using firecracker. So Veritech will still act as kind of the middleman for execution, but instead of spinning up a thread, it will start an isolated firecracker process, so an API to talk to, and then pass that, spawning a micro VM against that API to execute the function against. Basically, in the old model, these are like quite tightly tied together, and in the new model, these are very, very isolated. So basically, nothing can go. I can't remember who said it, but like east-west traffic, basically. So nothing can go this way. And you would scale two ways. So we could scale to probably thousands of isolated function executions on a single EC2 metal node, or we could scale this way as well. So we could add extra nodes into the pool as we need. It's noteworthy that at the minute we aren't like pre-provisioning. So they are spun up on demand, but obviously we could pre-provision and make them warm so that it's much faster to actually execute the functions. The bit that I've been working on this week is this green bit. So firstly, the EC2 node config, and then writing some shell to spin up the firecracker API and then execute some kind of like hello world script initially. Okay, any questions on that before I give you a demo that might or might not work?
No, that was fantastic. Love the slides. Mahir, do you have questions?
I just had a question about Firecracker. Did we pick Firecracker because it was written in Rust, or that was the cherry on top?
Total cherry on top.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, that's true. It's basically what AWS uses for their serverless products.
It's one piece of technology I know something about, so I'm feeling good about myself today.
Congratulations.
Okay, second part of the demo. So I have pre-provisioned. Is it that one? Hang on one sec. This one? You can see terminals, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, top terminal is just htop. The middle one is just a list of a very crude way of counting the number of firecracker processes running on the host. And at the bottom, I'm going to run this like crazy scale script, which will then run the shell I wrote to spin up a firecracker micro VM. It's just using like a hello world container right now. And what I was doing up here is pre-provisioning the tap devices for their networking bits. So if I run it, you can see the node gets slammed because it's a pretty extreme test, like 500 in parallel. And then if I would check the middle one, you can see that 500, well, it's a very rough estimate, but a rough way of counting, but you get the gist. So basically, yeah, I spawned 500 and that was it. So the next bits of this work are then to actually make that execute some SI code and integrate the shell into the Rust, and then probably rewrite the shell in Rust to make it a bit tidier. But that's my demo.
That's stellar.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I look forward to the giant pool of like function overlords. And I like, we've chatted about like the possibilities in the future where you have like multiple pools and you can decide like which pieces of work go to where, and like you can address them from the workspace, and you could maybe use that global pool from local execution context if you wanted to. Like all kinds of interesting stuff can happen. Very cool. Okay, let's go to Scott.
Perfect timing, because mine's going to be a lot along the same lines. But we'll start with something completely not related to that at all. On Friday, I added a search box here And that's cool because you can now just search for your assets when you want them. I just stole a search box from elsewhere in the UI and then put it there, and it worked. And I feel pretty good about that. So there's part one. We have a search box for assets. Part two, also completely unrelated. Part of firecracker stuff that John just talked about, we wanted a like proof of concept that we could extend the existing like thing that spins up processes to use like other mechanisms for running functions. So we looked at using Docker containers, and this could be a good use for like the local dev story. Instead of just spinning up a whole bunch of Cyclone processes, you can spin up a whole bunch of Cyclone containers instead. So on the right, I have a Docker PS that I'm just watching. So all of the yellow here, these are just different containers that are running. And then over here, obviously, we have some system initiative happening. So as I come in here and I change some stuff, you can see cyclones start spinning up and spinning up and spinning up. So every single one of these is like an isolated function execution, not isolated as well as firecracker, but at least isolated inside of the container. So yeah, we can spin stuff up using Docker now. There's a few hang-ups still with this approach. I can't actually apply any infrastructure because I haven't wired in the credentials to these yet. So I want to wait till secrets are ready to actually do that. We're not pulling logs out of these into like the Veritech logs. You can still see like function execution logs when they happen. And this container needs to be built as part of the build process still. But yeah, there you go.
Amazing. Yeah, part of why that's going to matter is that as we move to a world where where the function executions are isolated by default, then all the secret stuff has to be in so that you can then pass it through, and then it'll make it so you're not polluting your local execution environment anymore, which is great. Super cool.
That was such quick work too for both of you, being able to turn that around and make something start to work. That was really well done.
Yeah, it's yummy.
I give full credit to your like what you already built being pretty easy to follow along and extend. It's good stuff.
All right, let's talk to Paul. Paul, bring us home.
Feel like I've let everyone down because I don't have a slide deck. Thanks for that, John. I feel like I really have to raise
It was
my
a pretty
game
good
here.
slide deck, yeah.
Yeah. So like Paulo, Theo, and I have been like working on this multiple user workspace, and you can see right now I have there's like two parts to this demo. You can see that I personally have two different workspaces that I'm an owner of. If I go into my first workspace, now we've actually updated the product that all of your workspaces are listed in the top left. So I can actually change to my other workspace, and it's, you know, not just that.
Regardless of instance that it's coming onto.
Regardless of instance, but also we actually can use different workspaces in different tabs now. They're not specifically like, you know, browser, like across the whole browser. So that's a pretty nice addition. And then we kind of changed how workspaces work in here. It used to be that you could edit it online. Now, if I want to grant someone access to this workspace, I can hit the gear icon, and we actually get like a list of members of the workspace. And I can go to this user account, which...
Hey, Paul, I think we're seeing something wrong, or at least I'm slow. My Zoom is slow.
Yeah,
we don't
Paul,
see
your
anything.
screen share is frozen. It's possible that you didn't share your entire screen, or oh, there it goes.
There we go.
Strange. Okay, so yeah, so if we go back to the dashboard, and if I click on the gear icon now, it now gives me the ability that I can see what members in the workspace, and I can invite new members to the workspace. So if I pop across to a different user account, I can see that this user account doesn't have access to a workspace, or should not have access to a workspace, should I say. Let's try and see what happens if they try and access that. So I'll copy the workspace address, pop back here, and they get a forbidden, you can't access the workspace. But we can go, we can give them access to the workspace. We can just invite the user to that workspace. We can pop across. I can refresh it. I am now logged into said workspace.
Oh, that's so
It
rich.
will allow me to. Cool. There we go. So we can jump in. Like, let's create a demo. So it's demo 2024. And we can go back to the other browser tab. And let's just pop in and see what happens in here. So, of course, I'm trying to do this on a laptop, but that's okay. You'll basically see the jinx or the way that it works. But at least if I drop in a region on the left, you see it's immediately created a region. If I drag in a caller identity, you see it's caller identity dropped in, and you can actually see this is not on my local machine. This is on a remote host. This is hosted up in EC2, and we can see the function execution is happening as expected. And of course, we will work to ensure that the history actor is there. So, you know, it's really nice and simple, working as expected. And at any point, I can actually, you know, pop open a different chain set, and we can both be working in different chain sets within the same workspace, and so on and so forth. So very cool first step, but the ability to invite people is awesome.
It's so yummy.
Awesome.
Oh my god, that is so cool.
So good.
And as you can see, it's actually not that unresponsive. Like, you've got a way to, you know, we've done no optimization at all here on this.
Yeah.
Like, you know, making sure that the UI is updated and refreshed, but it's working quite well.
Yeah, and there's a lot of yummies to come, right? There's multiple
cursors and function or editor experiences that we can see in real time, and who's popped in and toast and all sorts of stuff. There's a load of new stuff coming.
Lots of yummies. Cool. Fantastic. Any last minute entries? Go once, twice. Sold. All right. Well, happy Halloween, future people, and we'll see you later.